The Sword and Shield era has been the biggest topic in the Pokemon investing scene in the last few weeks, with boxes increasing 50% in value in just 2 weeks and other ones going down for almost a year straight. It can be quite confusing which investment you should take. So today we will take a look at every Sword and Shield set, talking about their PSA report, card lists, prices, to see which investment could be interesting. Let's go. First up on our list, we got the Sword and Shield base set. As you can see, I made my decision based on sealed booster boxes and the top 3 chase cards from every set in a raw and PSA graded condition. Why? If I invest in a sealed product, most of the time I want to choose a product that has the most reselling chances in the future. And that's why I chose the main product of a set, the classic booster box. Same story for graded cards. I made a decision to only focus on the big 3 chase cards from every set to make my reselling chances as big as possible, and also only graded in a 10 because that are the conditions for my investments for modern cards. So for the Sword and Shield base set, we have a classic booster box priced around $266, decreased 8% over the last year. If we take a look at the top 3 chase cards from this set, we have the Marnie at $36, the Snorlax at $28, and then the Golden Zacian at $14. Current prices of these cards in a PSA 10 are $100, $71, and $40. If I had to make an investment for the Sword and Shield base set, I would pick a Snorlax VMAX in a PSA 10. Why? The booster box of this set is already at a decent price level without having big valuable cards in this set, in my opinion. I like the artwork from this card. Rainbow cards are discontinued, and $71 for the Snorlax in a PSA 10 with only 1900 copies in a PSA 10 is, in my opinion, the best investment choice I could make for Sword and Shield base. Next up, we got Rebel Clash with a booster box going for $221, increased 5% over the last year. The top 3 chase cards from this set are the Boss's Orders with a current price of $29, a Sonia at $21, and then again a Rainbow Boss's Orders at $19. Same story for Rebel Clash as the Sword and Shield base set. If I had to make an investment in Rebel Clash, I would pick the chase card from this set, Boss's Orders in a PSA 10. This card is actually extremely cheap, and the PSA 10 population of this card is only 521 cards. I would not recommend this set as a big investment opportunity, but if I had to choose one item, it would be this Boss's Orders. Next up, we got Darkness Ablaze. A booster box from Darkness Ablaze is going for $147, decreased 5% over the last year. If we take a look at the top 3 chase cards from this set, we start off with the Charizard VMAX for only $19, which is absolutely insane. Then we have the Salamence and the Butterfree, but the most remarkable card is the Charizard VMAX with a PSA 10 price of only $68. It was a close call for Darkness Ablaze, but I preferred a sealed booster box from Darkness Ablaze. I do like the Charizard chase card, and $68 for this card in a PSA 10 is a steal, but as the PSA report shows us, there are 16,000 copies of this chase card. That's the reason why I think that a sealed booster box from this set at $147 has a little bit more growth potential for investments, just because a sealed booster box from this set, already a little bit older, can become a collector's item. Going from Charizard to Pikachu, we have Vivid Voltage. A booster box from Vivid Voltage is still going for $135, which is absolutely crazy for one of the older sets from the Sword and Shield era. The top 3 chase cards from this set are the Rainbow Chunky Pikachu at $79, then we have the Pokemon Center Lady at $12, and then we have the Pikachu V at $7. Of course, the Rainbow Chunky Pikachu is the big chase card from this set with a PSA 10 going for $194. It wasn't an easy choice actually for Vivid Voltage, but in the end I preferred a sealed booster box from this set because it is one of the older sets from the Sword and Shield era that has a big chase card in it, the Rainbow Chunky Pikachu that has been discontinued, the Rainbow version, and is still only $135 for a sealed booster box. The Chunky Pikachu in a PSA 10 is a second decent choice in my opinion, with 7,000 PSA 10s and a PSA 10 ratio of 61%. Next up on our list is Battle Styles, which holds one of my favorite cards from the Sword and Shield era, the Sleeping Tyranitar. A booster box from Battle Styles is going for $108, decreased 5% over the last year. The top 3 chase cards from this set, of course, the Sleeping Tyranitar and then the Rapid Strike and Single Strike Urshifu. Sleeping Tyranitar is going for $185 in a PSA 10, the Rapid Strike Urshifu is going for $100, and then the Single Strike $75 in a PSA 10. My investment choice for Battle Styles went to a sealed booster box from this set. Why? This set holds a valuable chase card from a popular Pokemon and with a good artwork. With the current price of $108, I believe that investing in this booster box can be very interesting. I do want to mention that investing in a Sleeping Tyranitar graded in a PSA 10 would also be a good opportunity in my opinion, because the PSA report shows us there are only 3,000 copies of this card in a PSA 10, and this card has a PSA 10 ratio of 59%. Next up we got one of the biggest sets from the Sword and Shield era, Chilling Reign. A booster box is going for $192, increased 37% over the last year. The big 3 chase cards from this set are the Blaziken VMAX, the Galarian Moltres, and of course the Golden Snorlax. The Blaziken is going for $322 in a PSA 10, the Moltres $215, and then the Golden Snorlax $122. I've spent too much time deciding which Chilling Reign investment opportunity my favorite is, and if I can use one exception in this video, I want to use it now. If I would invest in Chilling Reign, I would go for both sealed booster box and a PSA 10 graded Blaziken VMAX. The amount of high value chase cards in this set is absolutely insane. This booster box increased already a lot over the last few months, but I can definitely see this box increasing way more over the next year. Besides that, this Blaziken VMAX has one of the most unique artworks from the Sword and Shield era. $322 is already a lot of money, but this card has definitely the potential to become a high sought after card in the future. With only 2,700 copies in a PSA 10, which is way lower than other big chase cards from the Sword and Shield era, it will become an exclusive card to add to your collection. Next up we got Evolving Skies, aka Evolving Cries, with an insane booster box value of $678, increased 72% over the last year. I'm wondering where the ceiling will be for this booster box. This set includes the biggest chase card out of Sword and Shield, the Moonbryon, with a current price of $1,114 in a PSA 10, a Rayquaza VMAX at $445, and then the Leafeon VMAX at $237. For Evolving Skies, I would pick a sealed booster box instead of one of the big chase cards. Don't get me wrong, I love the Moonbryon. It will be the biggest chase card out of Sword and Shield, but $1,100 for this card with already more than 10,000 copies in a PSA 10 is less interesting for me than a sealed booster box at $678 from this set that holds 10 plus cards with a lot of value. This set will always be defined as the big leader in the Sword and Shield era, so if there is one set that collectors would like to collect a sealed booster box from, I think it will be Evolving Skies. Then we have Fusion Strike, the most discussed set in the past few weeks because of the news that the Pokemon Center got out of stock on Fusion Strike. Market's reaction was insane because this booster box increased more than 50% in 2 weeks and 65% over the last year. A booster box today is going for $228. The top chases from this set are the Gengar at $545 in a PSA 10 already, the Espeon VMAX at $293, and then the Mew at $145. Although the Gengar VMAX is an absolute chase card and I do believe that this card will increase in value in the future, I chose to invest in a booster box from Fusion Strike because I think there is some more growth margin on this booster box. I do want to emphasize that at this moment I'm a bit hesitant about heavily investing in Fusion Strike. Maybe there's a little retracement incoming because I have a feeling that the increasement we've seen was partly made by a panic reaction from the crowd. I think there's still a good amount of supply on Fusion Strike booster boxes, so maybe a small retracement is incoming, but anyway, this will be all leveled out on the long term. Also, this Gengar has 5,500 copies in a PSA 10 and a ratio of 61% in a PSA 10. Then we have Brilliant Stars with a current price of $161 for a booster box, increased 11% over the last year. We have the big chase card from this set, the Charizard V at $235 in a PSA 10. We have another Charizard V-Star and then the Golden Ultra Ball. In my opinion, Brilliant Stars is still one of the most underrated sets from Sword and Shield. The Charizard V is still going down in price with a PSA 10 for only $235. This card has an amazing artwork, very hard to pull, and has only a PSA 10 ratio of 56%. So I believe picking up this card in a 10 won't be a bad investment on the long term. However, I also think that if you can do some research at booster boxes from this set, you can still be able to pick up some boxes below MSRP, and I'm a strong believer that there's a lot of value in this box in Brilliant Stars. I made a small recap of the most valuable cards in this set, and for me it's crazy that these cards with amazing artwork and popular Pokemons like Charizard, Sylveon, Umbreon are still extremely cheap. Most of these cards are below $20 in near mint condition, and I actually wouldn't be surprised if these cards doubled in price in the future. So because I think that this set holds a big chase card and potentially other high value cards, I chose to invest in a booster box from Brilliant Stars at MSRP. I do think that it will take a longer time to see return on investment compared to Lost Origin, for example, because the hidden value in Lost Origin is already more confirmed by the market and the value of the top 10 chase cards, but with a booster box from Brilliant Stars at MSRP, you won't do anything wrong in the long term. Next up we got Astral Radiance, and I think this set finally took off. The current value of a booster box is $150, increased 20% over the last year. The chase cards from this set are the beautiful Machamp V at $175, the Starmie V at $112, and then the Palkia at $88. Because this set holds a couple of valuable but also beautiful cards, I chose to invest in a booster box that is still only $150. I did some research on the internet and could still find some booster boxes below $120. That would mean that Astral Radiance has a ratio of 2.5 today, which is almost as valuable as Lost Origin, for example. So Astral Radiance, definitely worth looking at. Next, another big set from the Sword and Shield era, Lost Origin, with a current booster box price of $173, increased 12% over the last year. The big chase card from this set is the beautiful Giratina V at $585 in a PSA 10, the Aerodactyl at $207, and then the Rotom V at $63. I already mentioned it a couple of times in my videos, but $173 for a booster box from Lost Origin, a set that holds a lot of valuable cards, but especially a big chase card worth $585 is absolutely insane. We've seen already an increasement on this booster box, but I think the growth margin for Lost Origin for a sealed booster box from this set is way bigger. Last but not least, we got Silver Tempest with a current price of $135 for a booster box. Didn't increase or decrease over the last year. Of course, we got the Lugia priced at $290. We have the Rayquaza and the Lugia priced at $70 and $81. If I had to pick one thing from Silver Tempest, it would be a booster box for only $135. It follows the same story as Lost Origin, only the value in the cards and so in the booster box is lower. But if you just look at it from an investing perspective and you compare $135 for Silver Tempest with $175 for Lost Origin, there is definitely something to say for this set. So to make a little recap, if I had to invest in 3 things from Sword and Shield today, it would be very clear for me. I would invest in a card that has a limited amount of PSA 10s, has one of the most unique artworks I've ever seen and will be one of the most remarkable collector's items from the Sword and Shield era, the Blaziken VMAX from Chilling Reign. Besides that, this set has so much value in it, but at the same time it's too hard to pull these cards. This booster box has a current ratio of over 3, which means that we can buy 3 booster boxes from Chilling Reign for the same value as the raw value of the top 10 chase cards combined. That's the highest we've seen in this era, and if you compare it with an average from the Sun and Moon era, which is 1, there is no question that this set has a lot of potential to become very valuable. And to end, a Lost Origin booster box. Once this box will be out of stock on the Pokemon Center, this set will follow the same way as Fusion Strike did a couple of weeks ago. And there you have my full investment overview from the Sword and Shield era. Now, if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe so we can see each other back in the next video. Bye bye.